This week, first up, the enterprise security news. Mission Secure announces a Series B. Akamai Technologies acquires Inverse. For Microsoft, security is a $10 billion business. Sontiq acquires Cyberscout. IRONSCALES improves the ability to detect phishing attacks. Good question mark. I guess I meant on that one. Arista launches a zero trust security framework. Simulate integrates with Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. Tenable empowers MSSPs to launch cloud-based vulnerability management services. StackPath launches Direct Connect. Rapid7 acquires Alside.io, if I said that correctly, to extend cloud security. Imperva updates its WAAP and data security offerings. SonicWall confirms a zero-day vulnerability with no other details. Arista introduces Multi-Domain Macro-Segmentation Service, and I don't know what that means either, so don't feel bad, but it's provocative. In the second segment, we welcome Jonathan Cran from Intrigue.io to discuss attack surface management. And then in the final segment, Sunil Yu from YL Ventures joins us for a discussion on the cyber defense matrix, the DIE triad, and cybersecurity startups. Stay tuned for all that and more on this episode of Enterprise Security Weekly. This is Security Weekly, for security professionals, by security professionals. Broadcasting live from G-Unit Studios in Rhode Island, it's the show where we talk security vendors and aren't afraid to name names. It's Enterprise Security Weekly. Face it, your data is everywhere. No matter where your data lives or what tools you use, Imperva Data Security unifies compliance, security, and privacy needs for any data store while saving you time and money. Imperva finds threats before they become a compliance or security incident, and built-in automation empowers you to remediate quickly. Give your business confidence about what is happening with your data, where it's stored, and who's accessing it. For a 30-day free trial of cloud data security, visit securityweekly.com/Imperva. As your attack surface stretches from the data center to the cloud and the device edge, security teams need visibility across it all to confidently detect and respond to threats. Experience frictionless hybrid security that helps you stop breaches 84% faster with ExtraHop's Reveal X360, the first and only SaaS-delivered network detection and response. Explore the interactive demo at securityweekly.com/ExtraHop. Can we continue to function without facts? Cybercriminals exploit the absence of facts, harming organizations through the easiest point of entry, email. No company should claim they can stop all phishing attacks. It's about having all the facts in seconds and reducing the time it takes to respond. It's minutes versus hours and the difference between a security incident and a breach. Great Horn. See through the dark. To learn more, go to securityweekly.com/Greathorn. Welcome, everyone, to Enterprise Security Weekly. It's episode number 215 for February 3rd, 2021. I'm, of course, your host, Paul Asadorian, joined remotely by Adrian Sanabria. Sporting some new headphones. Looking good, Adrian?
Yeah, thank you. I actually wore them last week, but thanks for noticing.
I knew that. Like, new to me. New because I didn't realize and recognize them yesterday. Anyway, Tyler Shields is here with us. Tyler, welcome.
Hey, what's going on? Adrian, you look good in nothing at all, my friend.
Tyler has the naked headphone look going on too. I
got the pro buds in.
Oh, those are nice.
I was not prepared for that comment. I have no words.
You look good in headphones, you look good in nothing. You're just the man.
Are those like custom fit headphones, Tyler?
I play bass in a band.
Yeah.
And, they're my in-ear monitors.
Ooh.
Oh, I'm so jealous. We could do headphones.
I play bass not in a band.
We could do Headphone Security Weekly for sure.
We could geek out on that for sure.
We could. I've always wanted a custom fit.
Did I know that you play bass? I feel like I should have known that, Tyler.
I can't say that you did.
One day
it's a little known secret.
One day we're just going to trip over our audience and we're not going to talk about security at all, and we're just going to just chat with each other.
I could talk guitars and bass and headphones for days.
That's it. Do you want to stay in the loop? All things Security Weekly. Visit securityweekly.com/subscribe to subscribe to your favorite podcast catcher on our YouTube channel. Sign up for our mailing list and join our Discord server. Also, if you have a specific guest topic you'd like us to cover on one of the upcoming shows, submit your suggestions for guests by visiting securityweekly.com/guest. Complete the form. We review those suggestions. Most of them, gotta be honest, I put them towards sponsored segments because they very much are sponsored segments. And I've been on a mission to find guests. And one of those is appearing on the show, and I'm super excited about it. We are going to talk about security and enterprise security news on this show. And we're going to start with the security news stories for this week. Where did you gentlemen like to start? I tend to like to start with the stories we had in common. Adrian, I was telling you about that over one of those mechanisms we use to communicate. Slack, Signal, Teams, email. Too many. But we had some funding announcement, acquisition announcements. Rapid7's acquisition, I believe, is one we had in common. So let's talk about that.
Yeah. First of all, how do you say it? How are you going to pronounce that?
I want to say Allside because it kind of sounds like Allstate, but it's not Allstate. It's Matt Alderman. Said it Monday, and I don't remember how he pronounced it, but I believe it was correct.
We'll go with that. Yeah, so another Kubernetes acquisition. I think we had, it was just last week, we had a Red Hat one, StackRox.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, I think this one's a little different, though. This also has got, from what I can read on it, it's got Istio, Service Mesh,
Service Mesh.
Speak.
Yeah.
Kubernetes. AWS, Azure, Google Cloud Platform. So it sounds like it's a broader cloud sec play, as well as trying to implement some Istio style stuff in there.
But when you click each of those, it is specifically Kubernetes within each of those.
Oh, so it's just shady marketing on top of it?
Oh,
yeah, so it says AWS, it says Azure, but you click each of those and it's AWS is Kubernetes and Azure is Kubernetes.
Oh. No wonder they got acquired. They're a point solution.
I won't dispute you on that because that's definitely what happens. And I think a bunch of people played their cards correctly. StackRox actually made the pivot into Kubernetes security. I'm not sure of the history, although Matt Alderman did say that they were a competitor when he was at Layered Insight. And they did say they had container runtime and network monitoring as part of Alside's industry-leading cloud workload protection platform.
Yeah, it's just funny. There's so much overlap in the market today, especially when you have anything that's cloud sec, DevOps sec, any of those things. It's like they're all kind of one and the same. Just hard to even differentiate anymore.
Well, it certainly helps. Go ahead, Adrian.
There's so much nuance here, and we're going to see a bunch more of these. And, honestly, it would be great to have a guest. If anybody knows a good guest that can help us kind of untangle some of the nuance in all these Kubernetes security startups and these acquisitions.
It feels to me almost like the old model of, well, I know this for a fact, but the old model of NetSec, HostSec, EndpointSec, right? Kind of that stack is gone, and nobody can figure out how to reposition their products into the new world. And so they're all targeting the same messaging, the same overall positioning. And there's just no differentiation anymore.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it moves so fast. I can understand why that happens. You have one innovator, and 7 copycats. Or honestly, a lot of the time you'll see 5 companies pop up around the same time just because it was obvious to everyone that, hey, here's the next place, for your next startup. Here's a place to make your move. And Kubernetes has been clearly that for a while.
It's interesting if we, step into enterprise security. I can draw my enchanted quadrants, similar to what you just mentioned, Tyler, right? Which made me think of it. That you want to pull indicators of compromise from the network, from the endpoints, from all your other log sources, and correlate that with some good threat intelligence. If I had to draw the same enchanted quadrants for securing your, what we used to call SDLC, now we call it a DevOps pipeline, I don't know that I could come up with 4 things in a quadrant like that I'd be like, yep, you need something in each one of these quadrants. I don't know if I'd end up with more or less, or just not know where to put all the solutions.
Sounds like an awesome research project for us.
Yes.
Another point on this Alside acquisition. So according to Crunchbase, it was a $12 million venture-backed firm that was founded in 2016, and the acquisition was $50 million. So if anybody out there wants to give me $12 million to take a 3.5-year run at something, 4-year run at something, and give me $50 million back, I'm all aboard. Let's go.
Tyler,
let's do
Tyler,
it.
We can do so much better than that. There's another news story here that's two and a half years for over. Yeah. Palo Alto looking to pick up Bridge Crew for over $100 million. Was founded in 2019.
What? We're doing something wrong. The three of us need to just go do it. All right, that concludes the show. We've got some things to work on.
And if we think about what Bridge Crew does, is kind of they're again bridging the gap between code and security is what their website says. And I'm sure they were doing some great stuff. They had some really amazing brands, Databricks, which we can transition to another topic off of the Databricks comment.
Do they help secure Kubernetes though? Because I feel like to get those big payouts, you got to support Kubernetes.
You got to have Kubernetes on your website to get a big
it's
payout,
the new
for sure.
AI ML, like you got to tick that box to get the full funding or the full acquisition price.
Absolutely, but good for them, you know, if they picked up that quick.
So my first response was like, doesn't Prisma Cloud already have something like this? Because it's already 4 acquisitions that are inside Prisma Cloud, at least, right? If not 5, if we count, they picked up Evident, right?
Yeah,
Evident,
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
So that's
I think
5.
the difference with Bridge Crew is it's more focused, I think, on infrastructure as code. It's like taking a slightly different approach to how you do the analysis, as opposed to most of your cloud sec players like Twistlock and Redlock and all these guys. Well, not Twistlock, they're container, but Redlock is looking at the configuration via API analysis, as opposed to looking at configuration as code analysis. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't read through the entire Bridge Crew website, but that's my kind of 30,000-foot view on what they do.
Yeah, I mean, they look solidly like a CSPM, a cloud security posture management play. But I think that's what Evident was intended to be. Except they didn't do any kind of enforcement. You know, it was all just analysis. You know, more of a compliance play, I guess. But yeah, I'd love to dive deeper into some of these. But yeah, that'll make 6 acquisitions that make up Prisma Cloud once they get this integrated.
Well, that's the catch. Will they get it integrated?
Yeah.
Six, you know, 1 is tough to integrate. 2 of them are tough to integrate. How are you going to do 6, right? That's a behemoth.
I had 3 that I also thought was all encompass some like really bad marketing that I feel like we haven't talked about in this light in quite some time. The first one is Sontiq acquires Cyberscout to expand its cyber products and services in the insurance industry. Maybe that's why a lot of this seemed kind of foreign to me, because I had no idea what they were talking about. So this acquisition unites 3 of the best of breed products, focusing on delivering world-class services, if I can talk, as shown in the excellent customer ratings they've all collectively earned. Except, like, there's no mention of what they actually do in this entire press release.
Classic.
I don't know what they do. I don't. But there was an acquisition. And I thought Cyberscout may have been more related to enterprise security, but maybe it's very a niche-y thing in insurance. But okay, but tell me that, right? I don't know. If you are the best of breed,
me neither.
If you're the best of breed, you should be able to articulate what makes you the best of breed in your space, and also describe your category. I realize I still have my phone in my pocket too, and it's actually on. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I got nothing on that one. I've clicked through a couple links, and I'm no closer to figuring it out.
Okay.
So, speaking of bad marketing, though, on that Prisma Cloud one, when I was researching them, one of the Google AdWords campaigns there is just an absolutely brutal hit campaign by a competitor, and it's just. I don't know if I want to say the name of the company. It's pretty easy to find if you Google Prisma Cloud, but there's no nuance, no tact to it at all. It's just full on. I'll post it in the Discord, but it's just kind
of a side note. I switched to DuckDuckGo last week just to kind of give it a shot. I don't know, like, because I heard some shady things. Like if you're looking for stuff on Google will suppress certain results just based on whatever Google thinks. And I was like, I'm kind of tired of the whole thing. So And the ads too.
You're missing these AdWord campaigns, man. They're great.
Yeah, but the ads in Google, like sometimes when you hit a search term, based on the research that Adrian and I are doing as part of labs, right? I would actually searching in full disclosure, attack surface monitoring, attack surface management, attack surface mapping, right? But some of the ads, like the first 6 results are ads. Now I'm like,
yeah,
what if I get different results if I go to a different search engine? And I don't know that they're necessarily better or all that different, but there's definitely less ads, and I do feel like it's pretty good so far. I don't know. I've used Google for a long time, so
it's part of my research. If I want to know who the competitor is for a company, I just Google that company, and I get a nice list of their competitors. I refresh. I get a couple more.
Yep.
Refresh. There's the beginning of my competitive intel.
Yeah, but we did this for XDR, and then I used DuckDuckGo to search for something, and I did get an advertisement just from someone, a completely different company. Like they weren't advertising for that on Google; they were advertising for that on DuckDuckGo, which is interesting.
Huh.
Let's see. My other story was IRONSCALES further improves ability to detect advanced and highly targeted phishing attacks. I didn't understand exactly what they did or what this product does that's different, and like why it does things that my existing solutions don't do, such as what's built natively into my platform and what I may have bolted onto that to provide email phishing protection. But they say using a democratized approach to threat hunting, IRONSCALES makes anti-phishing effortless and seamless for both security professionals and end users. But yet no
they make a cream for IRONSCALES.
Now. That's not fighting fair. However, I did read this entire article, and I couldn't figure out what the differentiator is. I mean, if you're going to be so bold as to say, like, we're going to improve your ability to detect advanced and highly targeted phishing attacks, but like, okay, how are you going to do that better than the dozens of other players in this space, including the native platforms that my email is most likely sitting on in the enterprise?
And you've got to, right? Because phishing and awareness training, how many players are in that space?
Mm-hmm. Only like 1 or 2. You could dominate that space,
right?
Yeah, it's a self-learning platform.
Yeah, so they have a phishing protection and security awareness, phishing awareness kind of training, phishing exercises.
Okay.
Which they also claim to be great, but like, okay, tell me. The thing that frustrates me is they really could have like an awesome solution. Like they really could be a very innovative player in the market and have a solution. Tyler's looking at me like I'm insane, but you have to give them right. You got to give them the benefit of the doubt. Like they really could have something truly special, but their marketing is just not articulating that. And that's what's frustrating.
Yeah, no,
there could be some awesome engineers behind this that created something truly special and unique, and we'd want to interview them and bring them on the show. But I don't know if that's there because their marketing stinks.
Yeah, this press release is worthless. It's just a statement of we do stuff better than anybody else. Literally, that's all it says.
Right.
And it's like
it's lazy marketing.
Yes. Agreed.
Now, I'm a CMO and have been a CMO in a couple different places. So sometimes there's the need for the rolling thunder continuous press release campaign, and you run out of them. So you put out one of these lazy ones. I'm hoping that's what this is.
Right. That happens.
But,
yeah, sure.
Yeah. This one doesn't tell you anything.
And on to the next one. Arista launches a zero trust security framework for the digital enterprise. Now, this one's a little different because I have no idea what they're talking about. I can't derive even the problem it's solving. In the IRONSCALES one, like you can derive the problem. The problem is phishing, right? I get it. With this Arista one, I don't know what the problem is. I don't know what they're solving and how they're doing it and why it may be better than anyone else. So they state, Arista Multi-Domain Macro-Segmentation Service is a suite of capabilities for integrating security policy through network and through an open and consistent network segmentation approach across network domains. I have no idea what that means.
Did you say macro segmentation?
Macro segmentation.
Yeah,
I have no idea what that means. I have no idea what any of that means. I mean, those are words, and individually,
Is that like
I know
a firewall between you and the internet. Is that macro segmentation?
Individually, I know what most of those words mean. I think the multi-domain macro. Well, Maybe individually, I don't know what macro segmentation means. I can kind of guess. But like all together, those words are just words that are all together and haven't told me a damn thing.
Yeah, whenever I get these things in my feed, literally, if it has zero trust, it's insta-click for next one. I don't even read them anymore. Zero trust is so like, come on.
Well, and what's bad? What's bad is it got like a bad moniker associated with it. However, Edgewise messaged on zero trust, but they were awesome. I'm like, you guys are awesome. Yeah. And then they got acquired by Zscaler, and the team there is awesome. They're some of the brightest people I think I've ever met and certainly had on the show. But you don't want you don't want to obscure that with marketing terms that, like you said, Tyler, I see it in my feed and I skip over it.
Yeah, that term's toast. Yes. That term is just destroyed in my eyes.
It is. I remember in one day I did 2 briefings, and both were companies that didn't do anything network related, and they used zero trust in their messaging. One of them did encryption, data encryption, and they were calling it zero trust. And it becomes hard to tell if they're using it as a metaphor for what they're doing. But eventually, and this is just a buzzword cycle. Eventually this word gets used so much. If you're going to use it, at least qualify where you fit into zero trust. Have a attached right to the end of it. Quick description of what you're doing there. And instead, what they've done is they've added some of their new. They're trying to differentiate by coming up with new buzzwords. So now we've got, multi-domain. I don't know what that means in this context, and macro segmentation is bewildering.
Right. Well, but it's like that thing. And I swear this was Edgewise, and Peter from Edgewise. I love the man. He's awesome. And I think when I first met Peter, they had a small booth in Black Hat. And like, you don't know, I mean, you guys know, you've been to the vendor floors and done briefings, and you don't know, like, am I just not getting this? Or is this person just so much smarter than I am that like I'm just missing it? And it's rare when the person truly is like, they're just way smarter than you and like, I'm just not getting it. That was totally Peter from Edgewise, and a few others too, that you're like, I don't get it. But I think if you can do what you say, it's going to be really awesome. And it turns out Peter's way smarter than I am, and had a product that absolutely could live up to what he was describing and beyond, and had a successful acquisition and continue to do great things in this micro segmentation. Because Peter was describing to me that processes can trust each other and operate within these certain boundaries. And he's like, it's zero trust. And I'm like, well, if you can do what you're saying, that sounds like a really good way to solve the security problem. And then lo and behold, it was. So. But so many other vendors you meet with, you're like, no, wait, you could be really like way smarter than me, or you could be talking out of your ass, and I don't know which yet.
It's a super important marketing role, I think. I'm curious if you agree, Tyler, to have somebody that can both understand what's happening on the tech side, and explain it in a useful way and translate that.
Yeah, I'd say I can agree with that, because that's exactly what I built my career on. I'm a product guy, research engineer, developer, analyst turned CMO, right? And so it's definitely a unique skill set that can be brought to the table. And what happens when you have somebody like that in play, they'll read something that, maybe your PR person's putting together and be like, that's just not going to resonate. The engineer in the room is going to throw it right out.
Yep. I did a lot of that for Tenable. My title was product evangelist. And I feel like that could be split, but there are a lot of evangelists that, like ourselves, very technical, but also the marketing side of it.
Yeah, I think it's super valuable.
Yeah, so I count at least 4, maybe 5 unique words that Arista apparently came up with in the first 2 paragraphs of this. And you've just raised 5 questions. You've used 5 terms I've never heard before.
Right.
And you get a lot of explaining to do, and I'm not sure that it happens further on down here.
I think we should create a max buzzwords metric. So whenever we read these, whenever we find a buzzword that's either improperly used or new and trying to be completely redefined, they get a point, and we'll see what the maximum record we can find is over time.
Oh, I thought you were saying they get a buzzer.
That would work too.
Like a game show that can be overused.
That would work.
Macro segmentation.
And And then I just can have on my whiteboard back here, I can just have like the current record holder with 8 buzzes.
What is on there now? Now you've got pictures back there. Are we not supposed to talk about it? Is that the thing, or can we talk about it?
No, you can talk about it. So that's the CEO. That's the CEO of Jupiter One. So I put his head on there.
Oh, gotcha.
And I'm referencing the GameStop stock meme that was going around.
Nice. A lot of those memes going around.
Yes.
I'm realizing we're getting a little short on time. We're having so much fun. Tenable has empowered MSSPs to launch cloud-based vulnerability management services. They claim within minutes. They announced this, which is kind of interesting because when I was at Tenable, I'm like, we should really have an MSSP model. And it took them quite a few years to actually have a press release and a formal program around it. But I think this is a good thing for Tenable. Look, if you're putting you're all in, right? You're at the poker table and you're all in on vulnerability management. This is a logical place to be. You want MSSPs to come to you for that component. Because unlike Rapid7, they don't seem to be diversifying in the same way. Rapid7 picked up another great company, it looks like, to help diversify their portfolio. Tenable still seems to be all in. And I'm not saying it's wrong or bad. It's just different strategy.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think a number of these guys have tried to diversify up the stack into the AppSec layer and pushing into dynamic application security testing in some ways, right? Because it's an extension of what they used to do or traditionally have done at the network layer. But, in general, when it comes to the efficacy of some of these technologies, I tend to look at the DNA of where the technology came from.
Yep.
And Tenable, Qualys, Rapid7, they're all great companies, but they were originally NetSec companies. So until they have a long history of being successful at the app layer, it's questionable whether they can really move up at that layer. So, I don't think it's actually a bad idea to extend into more managed services and build a channel-based program, which is what they're trying to do.
Agreed. I mean, they both made Qualys and Rapid7 have made some good acquisitions. I mean, Tenable did as well. They bought a container, more of a scanning company. So they've all tried to get into the container business through acquisition.
Well, containers the bridge from network to app.
Agreed.
That's the gateway acquisition.
They had to own that because it was close enough to network that they had to own some piece of that. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And while we're on this topic, we've got another story on vulnerability management. Help Systems, who acquired Core Security and Cobalt Strike, acquired Digital Defense, which a lot of people might not know Digital Defense.
No. But, I know them because I was in vulnerability management.
I know you know them.
But yeah, they had Digital Defense had their own scanner technology, right? They were playing in the Vuln scanner management market, right?
Yep. Yeah, and actually where you might have used their product and not realized it is from within QRadar. They've had a partnership with IBM for a while,
right.
and they're the scan engine and vulnerability management component within QRadar.
Now, did QRadar have its own Vuln scanner, and then they kind of ditched it? Like it wasn't there for a while, and then they partnered with Digital Defense? Or was it always Digital Defense?
Yeah, I think it was always Digital Defense. And a lot of people were like, you had ISS, did you really set internet scanner out to pasture that long? And I think the answer is yes. Yes, we did.
That's some inside baseball right there, huh?
Mm-hmm.
What else? What else you got, Adrian?
Are we going to talk about the $10 billion Microsoft article?
Yeah, that's interesting. What percentage of that is of Microsoft's? Is Microsoft at least 100 billion? Apple's 100 billion company,
I don't know
right?
What, let's see.
I'm just trying to put things.
So the percentage of the product market, the cybersecurity product market, is a sixth. Wow. It's not a percentage; that's a fraction. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I get what you're going. I can do the conversion. I teach my kids that are in 7th grade about fractions.
Yeah, I do too. It's called a calculator. Here, son, use it.
Right?
143 billion is Microsoft.
Gotcha.
And Apple's 274.
So it's more than that. And Amazon had $100 billion quarter. I don't know what does that mean? Their revenues.
They're 280.
Yeah, they're
Amazon's 280.
Yeah.
Google's only 90.
So the interesting part of that story is, though, if we take that and say 10 billion of it is security related revenue, how does that what does that equate to for the potential? Because we all, all these other companies are making billions of dollars too. Is the security market that large, or is it just so overinflated and people are buying way too many technologies and overlapping them and not really being efficient with it?
Oh, I think it's totally that. Like totally that. Yes.
Yeah, but when will it stop, right? So is there are we in a spot where consolidation rolls it up like Prisma Cloud is doing, right? Making 6-8 acquisitions and trying to roll them up. I think that we've got to get to that point eventually for security. It's just, when does it come?
It seems like it's slowing down though. Like the increase in revenue from product stuff in cybersecurity, I think was only like 2 or 3% last year.
Is that a Gartner? That's a Gartner thing, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Others, it varies between 2%, 10%, depending on who you're looking at, but nothing like it used to be.
Yeah, but it's amazing. You're still getting absolutely astronomical acquisition valuations then. How does that equate?
No idea.
Yeah. So illogical. I think markets are so screwed up.
A lot of money's changing hands, I think. I think that's, what we're seeing is a lot of saturation in a lot of these markets. So instead of new budgets popping up in cybersecurity, instead that money's being shuffled around.
So budgetary hot potato, we'll call it.
That's a good word for it.
This segment really needs to be an hour. I think we need to put those wheels in motion.
Let's go. I'm in.
We can't today because Jonathan's probably waiting for us, which is the next segment. But we do have a couple Imperva updates. It's WAAP,
web application and API protection.
Yes, not what you think if you have children that listen to music. Totally different. Means something totally different. I'm like, web application protection? Different. They were like, no, it's not that. I'm like, whoa, boy. SonicWall did confirm a 0-day, and that's all that we know, which is, I hate it when that happens. It's always, grinds my gears. And it has since I started the podcast 15 years ago, when they say, we've got this heinous vulnerability, and it's really bad, and we're going to patch it, but we can't tell you anything about it. Like nothing. And, but there was some, if you read between the lines, I think it was NCC Group said, watch for IPs that normally don't connect to your management interface, and watch for that. And so it sounds like the 0-day could be in the management interface, which was also kind of theorized previously when we're talking about SonicWall. So if you do have SonicWall, I would start taking a look at perhaps managing those management interfaces better. Not exposing them to the internet. Start there. If you're not doing that already, which I feel like you should be, but in any case. Anything else we wanted to mention very quickly? 30 seconds. Yeah,
the only last one I want to mention is this Akamai pickup, which looks like kind of an acqui-hire, a company called Inverse. Shout out to my friends up in Montreal. It's good to see acquisitions up there. We saw Delve Labs last year go to SecureWorks. But it's kind of interesting because instead of building a commercial product that they license, these are apparently the folks behind Packet Fence. And what they do instead is they charge to come out and take Packet Fence and integrate it into your organization. So they're looking for that, the professional services there and the consulting, and they'll do some.
Packet Fence is open source.
Yeah.
Is that
everything they do is open source, and they're basically commercial support for open source stuff.
Gotcha.
And awesome. Now part of Akamai.
Cool. With that, we'll take a short break. Come back talking about attack surface management with Jonathan Cran. Stay tuned.